Welcome, Rob. Are you there? Yay. Okay, perfect. Okay, this is our chance to chat. I need to see me. Never mind. Okay. I can't hear you. Surprise. I still can't hear you. There should be a mute button at the bottom. You're just trying to give me my chance to practice my own skills, aren't you? Okay. Apparently, I cannot mute.
Can you hear me now?
Excellent. Okay,
Okay.
perfect. Okay. Are you hearing any feedback on your end from me?
No.
Okay. Um, I'm kind of blind today. I think it's the pain. Okay. Um, I'm gonna get started on time. Anything, last things for me?
No, this will be like a 10-minute thing, right?
You'll be here till, I would say 15 after, but give me another 5 minutes because I'm in a lot of pain and I'm discovering things like I can't type notes in the chat. Can you move the phone and whatever the phone is resting on by just, if you just give that toaster oven or whatever, like the tiniest nudge back from your view, if you look at your screen, yeah, perfect. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna let
Okay.
people know. And then I'm gonna leave you for a while.
Okay.
Hi, welcome all. While we're waiting for people to join, if you want to go ahead and put in the chat where you're from, and if you've done phone banking with UP or uh, ECA before, that would be great. Just have a couple things to get us started, and then we'll get going. Awesome. Hey, and you have the initials are DNK. Can you tell me how I should call you? Feel free to come up.
Yeah, it's Deborah Nom Crane.
Oh, great. Okay, I remember now from the registrations. Great, thanks. I'll just mention a couple things that are gonna be a little bit different today that don't affect you all much, but um, I am having some weird things which is affecting my ability to type. So I'm going to paste some stuff in the chat, but I probably will be less active in typing in the chat than I would normally. So if you desperately need something, you can come off mute at some point and let me know. Okay. Oh, wow, I have a neighbor. Okay. Almost a neighbor, at least closer than Boston. So, okay. I am in Beaverton, Oregon. Okay, so like I said, bear with me because a little bit, I don't know why this thing is making it hard, but anyway, so welcome to our Elders Promote the Vote All Ages Friday phone banking session. This is a joint effort of Elders Climate Action, the Environmental Voter Project, and Elders for Sound Democracy, a program of Elders Action Network. I'm going to start by welcoming you here and getting you a chance to hear from our very special guest. At the end of Rob's remarks, those of you who want to understand more about our project and want training on using our phone banking tool Hub Dialer will stay with me to get started on that. And those of you who have done this before will go straight into calling after our initial remarks. We plan to come back together at 9:05 Pacific, and I'll close Zoom at very close to 9:15. But you can absolutely keep calling or return to calling after that time. Today we're going to be calling into Pennsylvania for the April 23rd Pennsylvania state and presidential primary election. I'm going to stick in the chat some stuff you're going to need later. Don't need it right away. And if you need me to put it in again, let me know. Or if you're good with zooming around in the chat, you can find it yourself. It'll be there. It won't go away. Okay, great. Yeah, had some messages with a couple people who had some issues today. And I really appreciate you all who turned out. Okay. So I'm Pam Vergun, project manager of Elders Promote the Vote. I have a multifaceted background that includes either social, oh, there we go. Now they're coming. Social science researcher, aspiring hiker and photographer, a traditional storyteller, and the only dual federal plaintiff mom. I and my special guest today are the all in Juliana et al. Versus US. Before we turn to our guest, here's a quick overview of what we're doing here today. This work, just a second. I was spread. Oh, no. Sorry. Okay. So, what we're doing is led by the Environmental Voter Project, or EVP, and it began in 2015. It takes a long-term evidence-based election-focused approach to building the power of the environmental movement. Oh, and if anybody is still on mute, if you could go off mute, that would be great. Elders Climate Action, ECA for short. ECA alone has reached more than 1 million voters since we began our partnership with EVP in 2017. We were joined in 2020 by Elders Action, Elders for Sound Democracy, which is part of Elders Action Network. Together, we've contacted over 9.5 million voters, getting them to turn out for local, state, and federal elections. The voters we mobilized are those who are extremely likely to feel that the climate is the most important issue, what we call climate first voters. We have worked to help these previously rarely voting or non-voting voters turn into super voters by contacting them to vote in multiple elections. We have worked on over 1,500 elections so far. Thank you for being part of this one. Legally, EVP and ECA must remain nonpartisan. We don't endorse or talk with voters about specific parties, candidates, or policies. For making calls, the great thing is that we know through randomized controlled trials that the nonpartisan messaging that we're going to be using is more effective than talking about any of those other things if we want to increase the turnout among the voters we're going to be talking to. Our goal is to make sure that every elected official, regardless of political party or level of office, must be a climate and environmental leader in order to get and stay elected. Too much going on my computer. What have I done with the, whoops. Hang on a second. Here we go. Oh, this is great. So we've still gotten folks coming. Great. Wait just a minute to get things rearranged so I can hit the slideshow. And getting to see all of you is blocking my access to playing the slideshow. Perfect. Okay. Welcome. If you have joined us after the start, that's totally wonderful. We're just doing a little bit of an intro before our guest speaker starts. So this is some of the things we were just talking about. I'll give you just a second to look at that since I was slow to bring it up. So the targeted states are the dark green and the yellow we're adding recently. Now to our guest. Rob Vergun, like me, is the only other parent of 2 of the 21 young people suing the US federal government to get action on the climate crisis through the lawsuit known as Juliana et al. V. US, nickname Youth v. Gov. Most have become full-fledged adults since the lawsuit began back in 2015. In addition to being a federal youth climate plaintiff parent, Rob is on the board of our nonprofit, Climate Change Recovery. He helps with the program I direct, Youth and Adults Acting for Our Earth, or YAY for short. He does research for the Veterans Administration on one of the indirect impacts of the climate crisis, long COVID, and can be found on Apple Music and elsewhere, strumming and singing with his music group, the Blake Street Thieves. Thank you so much for joining us, Rob. Take it away.
Thank you. And I apologize, I'm not a morning person, so bear with me. First, I want to thank everybody for what you're doing. It's an amazing work. It's very, very important. So I do want to thank you. I feel a little hesitant about talking because basically, you know, I have my wife Pam is very active with her with what she's doing right now, and she, you know, founded a nonprofit dealing with environmental issues. And my two children, Miko and Isaac, are 2 of the 21 federal youth plaintiffs in the Juliana lawsuit, and kind of actively make presentations about environmental causes. And me as a dad, the joke is that I carry the luggage, so and kind of help people along. But and you know, Pam has been asking me to kind of talk, you know, in terms of my perspective. So I guess as a dad, I do have a perspective of some, you know, thoughts about what our kids are going through, and sort of environmental issues. And it's not really so much specific to dads. I think it's also, you know, any kind of parent, or anybody who takes a parenting role. So it's not specifically dads. But I guess, you know, one of kind of the first issues that I'm always asked about, especially when our kids were in junior high and high school, was do the kids really want to do this? Is it something that, you know, parents or dads or whatever are pushing on children to be active in environmental issues? And you know, my answer to that is that kind of mostly no. We don't push them because I sort of see it as the same way as other activities that children do, like you know, doing soccer or you know, ballet or you know, playing piano or being a part of the chess club or whatever. You know, parents and dads, you know, have a kind of a role in terms of kind of nudging them to see if they're kind of interested in a certain activity. But it's ultimately them that sort of decide. You can only do so much. There's nothing wrong with nudging them, just like there's nothing wrong with nudging your child to kind of learn how to play piano a little bit. But you know, ultimately, you know, it's up to the child whether they're interested or not. So in that sense, this is something that, you know, Miko and Isaac have been really interested in, and I'll kind of talk a little bit later about, you know, the sort of personal impact that they are feeling about this. The other thing that I guess my role as a dad and as a parent is, you know, there's a lot of psychological issues that youth are going through. You know, if you read the paper in the New York Times and Washington Post or whatever your news sources, you know, there's a you know, increase in mental health issues that youth have. And there's several reasons for that. I mean, one of them is sort of, social media and so forth. But the other one is basically that they feel sort of a lack of control of events that are happening that they have feel they have no say over, and that includes the climate crisis. And so the activities that my kids are doing, or and not specifically that, it could be other activities, um, allows them to sort of have a sense of empowerment, where the locus of control is with them internally, so they kind of feel that they're having some kind of impact, and I think it kind of helps them in terms of coping with some of these things that um that a lot of youth are enduring. So that's just sort of kind of one of the roles that I have as a dad, is this sort of giving them a sense of encouragement, of empowerment, that they could do something. And so that's one of the things that's sort of important. Um, and just kind of summarizing, basically, Miko and Isaac are youth plaintiffs that are plaintiffs for their own individual reasons. Isaac was born outside of Chicago. Both Isaac and Miko came into our family through adoption, and Isaac was born outside of Chicago in an urban area where it's endemic in terms of asthma, and that's one of the things that sort of climate change has an impact on people that have asthma. And our daughter Miko was born in the Republic of the Marshall Islands, atolls that are in the middle of the Pacific near the equator, where the elevation is average elevation is like 11 feet above sea level, and so there's an impact in terms of a sea level rise, where I think the magic number is 1.5 degrees, where Miko's birth country that she came from is going to be endangered because of that. And so, they both have different various motivations behind, what they're doing, and me as a dad have, I think, a kind of obligation that if they're interested in pursuing environmental activism, for me to kind of help them along in terms of giving them resources and encouragement, and carrying the luggage so that they could do what they do. Just sort of the same way almost as your kid who's doing soccer, which is really important, or chess club or ballet. The parents you know carry the luggage and ride them to events and things like that. So this is sort of kind of one of my big role. Um, and so, kind of on behalf of them, I do want to thank each and every one of you who are active in environmental causes, no matter what your political affiliation is, because you are improving their outlook and their quality of life. And as a dad, I really appreciate what each and every one of you is doing. It's very important to them. So on that note, I guess I could take questions, or I could kind of hand it back to Pam.
If you want to hand it back to me, that would be great. And
Okay.
thank you so much for doing this. Have a great rest of your day, Rob.
Okay,
By
good.
the way, two things before he goes. One, the background behind me was taken when Miko and I got the chance to go to Majro. So the place he's talking about is what you're seeing behind me. Special background I made for today. And also, Rob is not on Instagram, but the rest of you have to check out the last or next to last ECA post about Rob's visit today. And you'll understand totally what I mean once you see the Instagram post. Okay.
Okay. Good
So,
luck, everybody. Okay.
yeah. Okay.
Thank
So if
you.
you've done, thank you. If you've done phone banking with us before, please head into Cup Dialer, reconvene for anyone who wants to at about 9:05 Pacific, 12:05 Eastern, and I'll be available on Zoom in the meantime if anyone wants to chat. So what we recommend you do is stay on Zoom if that works for you, but mute it so you don't have to hear any of us. And it's kind of out of your way, but you do have the ability to go into the chat and ask questions if you need it. So, and then for the rest of us, we're going to go into the specifics of how to phone bank. One thing I didn't get a chance to ask yet, would you come off mute and let me know if this is your first time phone banking with ECA?
It is.
Okay, cool. Actually, one person, that's enough. So, no.
And can I just like clarify, is it okay that I'm not, my son and I aren't we're not elders? Is
Thank you for asking.
okay.
No, actually, that's part of our goal. Most of the messaging we've been getting out is, depending on your definition, neither am I for the record. But most of our messaging has tried to make clear that it's an all ages phone bank.
Okay, great.
Yeah, definitely wonderful. And please encourage him and everyone who's listening to invite friends for next week, because this is not about elders. It's about elders kind of helping to get this going.
Perfect.
Okay. So,
I'm also new. I've never phone banked before.
okay, great. So we're going to go over everything you'll need to know so that you feel really good before we start phone banking. Always let folks go who have done it before, because once you get the hang of it, it's pretty good. Where I might show you.
Oh, are you going to, Pam, put the password and username information in the chat?
So yeah, I put in the chat information. If you look there, you'll see starts with Hub Dialer campaign, and about midway down,
Okay.
it says a link for you to click on to get started on Hub Dialer, a campaign ID, and then the passcode. So, and I always recommend
Okay.
just cut and paste because I'll make it really
Can
easy
you,
to type
yeah,
it.
can you do that again? Because sometimes Zoom
Sure.
erases it. If you don't mind, thank you.
Oh, and it's possible I did it before some of you got on too. So,
That's probably what it was. Yeah.
okay. So you should have everything, including the
Okay, thank you.
PA script. And we're going to talk about, you don't even need to look at that, but it's there. Okay.
Oh, great.
So we're going to go back to just talk for a little bit more about the project logistics itself, because for those of you who are new, so you do get a good sense of the work behind this. Okay. Here. Okay. Wrong button. There we go. Okay. So essentially, this is why this project is so effective. When people who are concerned and want action on the climate crisis don't vote, politicians don't listen for some very good reasons. What this project does, it has basically 4 parts. 1, identification. We leverage data analytics and predictive modeling. EVP is identifying millions of registered to vote environmentalists by name and street address. Then we use public voter files to narrow our focus to only those environmentalists who typically don't vote and are thus ignored by most political campaigns. Second, mobilization. That's where you come in. Using proven voter turnout messaging built on the latest behavioral science, EVP volunteers and staff then canvass, call, mail, and send digital ads to these target environmentalists before every election, local, state, and federal. Using randomized controlled trials, I can't talk today, we'll always test the performance of our messages and optimize each communication for its target audience. Third, habit reinforcement. Voting is a sticky habit. Once someone votes for the first time, they are much more likely to vote again in future elections. Therefore, we treat every election, local, state, and federal, as a high leverage opportunity to turn non-voters into voters. You can't change someone's voting behavior if you only talk to them every 2 to 4 years. So we work year round in every election, regularly checking public voter files and following up with our voters until they become consistent super voters. 4, changing the electorate. Nothing motivates a politician more than the prospect of winning or losing an election. EVP's ultimate goal is to flood the electorate with so many environmental voters that politicians will have no choice but to appeal to environmental voters and our priorities. $2.3 1.3 million different individual climate first voters were contacted just over the course of 2022. This chart has a lot, but I'll kind of give you an overview of it. Many of these people we contacted multiple times using different media, always using behavioral science informed messaging designed to turn them into more consistent voters. This included nearly 400,000 phone conversations with our targeted voters. The nearly 1.5 million super voters that EVP and we have worked to create now vote in every election, big and small. They were once environmentalists who never or rarely voted for whatever reason, but now they consistently vote their values in federal, state, and even local elections. Now for the mechanics of phone banking with us. First, you're going to go to the Hub Dialer website using the link I put in the chat. If you want to go ahead and do that, you can. But for the most part, after that, follow along with what I'm saying. And then when we get done, I can help you kind of walk through this again if you need me to. Sometimes people start and they end up getting messages from Hub Dialer. It can be hard to follow. But once you hear it, it'll kind of all come together. So I will go ahead and type. So what you'll do when you're ready to start phone banking, or if you feel at some point like, hey, I've got this, just go for it and put us on mute and start. So you're going to type in your email address. You're going to type in that campaign ID and passcode that is in the chat. I just copy it over. If it's your first time ever using Hub Dialer, click the "This is my first time using Hub Dialer" box, and then click to log in. You'll type in your first and last name. This information is only shared with EVP and not with the voter. The next screen you'll see after you log yourself in, you can stay on as long as you want to look over the calling script for today. The script is laid out so that you have exactly what you need when you need it, so you don't need to read it in advance. But I know sometimes it makes folks feel better to do that. Before we go onto the screens that preview what you'll see when you start calling, I want to stress 3 things for anyone who might be feeling a bit nervous about this. In the email you got from us, you already received the dialing instructions for using Hub Dialer. And I put a link to the Google Doc version of EVP's voters.
Welcome to the Hub Dialer. Thank you.
That's okay. Thanks for whoever just muted. Yeah, that's the tricky part. But yeah, if you feel like you're ready to go for
Help
it.
may be monitored for quality control. Your confirmation code is 728. Go ahead.
See if I can help.
Confirmation code into your web browser.
You did.
Please wait to be connected.
Okay. I don't know who that was, so please don't ever, if I mute you, take it like, why is she making me quiet? Because I know I kind of find that irritating. But okay. So the script is always going to be within Hub Dialer when you're on a call with a voter. So you don't need to memorize anything. That's a really key thing to understand about this process. And that's why in a couple minutes, when you're trained, you'll feel prepared and ready to make the calls. When you're ready to start taking calls, you'll click Let's Get Started. Yep, there we go. Okay, so this is the little more complicated screen, but if you just read it as you hit it on your screen, you'll understand. So step 1 is going to be using your phone. You're going to call the phone number provided on the screen. We have X's to not throw people because it changes each time, but it'll come up on your screen, the phone number you need to call once you're logged into Hub Dialer. It's a 10-digit number. And then on your phone, you're going to type in the dialing code, a 6-digit number shown on your computer. Also, Hub Dialer will give you that, followed by the pound or hashtag sign. Then step 3 on your computer. So 2 things on your phone, then the computer or tablet. You'll type in the confirmation code that Hub Dialer is going to give you over the phone. It's a 3-digit number. And if you missed the first time, don't worry, Hub Dialer will repeat it for you. And then you'll click Start Calls and you'll be off and running. And what's going to happen is I will be here. So if you get stuck, you can reach out to me through the chat. So as the system makes calls to find you a voter to speak to, you're going to experience a few minutes wait or only a matter of seconds. Especially for the first call of the session, it may take a few minutes to get the voter on the line. While you're waiting for a voter to pick up the phone, this orange dancing flower will appear on the screen and music will play. The script will appear the second the flower and the music stops, kind of like musical chairs. So be ready to say hello, since there will be a bit of a lag for you to hear the voter, and they likely already said hello to you, which you won't hear when they first picked up the phone. So as soon as that music stops, say hello, like you just heard them say hello to you. As you connect with a voter, just follow the script. If a voter responds to your question of whether they will vote in the next upcoming election, go ahead and mark the answer and move on to the remainder of the script. I'm going to show you kind of the things that you're going to be checking on the next page, but I want to stress one thing here. If it happens, it totally happens to almost everybody the first time. But when you get done with the conversation, you may be tempted to hang up. The voter will hang up and the system will hang up for you. If it's a voicemail, you'll hit that was a voicemail, the system will hang up for you. So you're going to stay on your phone once you start making calls until you're ready to quit. If you need, you can even take like a 1 or 2 minute break while you're on the calls, and I'll tell you about how to do that in a sec. Okay, so this is that screen that's going to come up. You'll see the script below about what you're to tell them, and then the things to your left and top part of what you're going to click as relevant. So if you don't talk to the voter, or the voter refuses to talk to you, choose the appropriate option on the left side of the screen. So for example, refused, hung up. We get generally not too many of those. It's pretty cool. When the conversation is over, again, don't hang up. If you need a moment, like less than 2 minutes, ideally between calls, you can wait to click next. So that next call button, that's the one that gives you your kind of like, I think I need a 90-second break. But when you're ready, click it and you'll go on talking to voters. When I've done this, I find that in the beginning, I need a little more time between calls, but once I get in the swing of it, I can jump right from one to the next. Now let's take a look at the screen that will come up for each call. Oh, sorry, I overshot. The initial part of that script is inside the blue box, and you'll want to jump into it as soon as you hear the tone that tells you you're connected. So that hello that you'll start with. You know, somebody's picked up and they said hello to you. You can start with hello and asking whether the person is available, or you can start by introducing yourself and then go on with the script. Either way, you'll introduce yourself by your first name. Ask for the specific environmental voter. If they are not around, mark that voter as not home. If another person other than the specific voter answers, you can still have a conversation with them. But when recording data, you need to make sure you mark the intended voter as not home. If you get a voicemail, leave a message using the voicemail script that will be on your page. By clicking "This is voicemail," that's the button near the bottom on the left-hand side, Hub Dialer will get the cue it needs to end the voice message and hang up the phone for you. Follow the scripts and mark the appropriate answer if the voter answers the question of whether they are voting or not. If the voter is not home, refuses, asked to be taken off our list, is deceased, or if there is a language barrier, click the appropriate option on the left side under call disposition. As soon as you're ready for the next call, you'll do next call to begin again. The notes box only needs to be used for information that cannot be captured within the other response button options. For example, if there's a language barrier and you think you knew the language they were speaking, you can note that there. The report back call at the very bottom is only for technical issues with Hub Dialer. You should always click that button if you experience any technical issues, as it will send an error report directly to Hub Dialer. Examples include beeping on the other end, static, if the voter is unable to hear you, and so on. You should follow appropriate scripts as closely as possible. I have a quick question because of something in the last training we did. Would you put a note in the chat if you're having trouble hearing me? If they're hearing any significant background audio. Okay. Okay. So there'll be a whole series of little scripts at on the page for commonly asked questions, especially toward the bottom. And it is totally fine to tell the voter, give me a moment to get that information for you. They'll understand you may need to look up some things to help them. So you should click, this is my last call, hang up the phone, and then log out to leave Hub Dialer. All data will automatically be synced to EVP. It's not a problem if you forget to click, this is my last call, and instead just hang up. The information will be synced to EVP's database after each call, no matter what. We're going to reconvene at about 9:05 or 9:10, probably 9:10. In case you want to check in and just kind of share a story or something from your calling, that would be great. You don't need to, you can just keep calling, or you can come join us and then duck back into calls, whatever you like. But let's see, any questions? If you have any questions, come off mute, go ahead and ask them, and then we will get started.
I saw in the script that there are a couple of places where we should be directing people to make a phone call to a certain phone number. It says something like clerk number.
Right.
Is that going to show up in the script automatically?
It will. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Great question. Yeah, and those are really carefully researched because last thing I want to do is get misinformation about like where they call for help. So that's your like your county elections office. Any other questions? Okay. I'm gonna put myself on mute. It's probably about time. And you go ahead and we'll go back to that part where we're talking about, I'll bring up the screen once more so you can just see, but you're essentially gonna go to the link for Hub Dialer that's in the chat, put in the campaign passcode, and then start to put in your name, and it'll just walk you step by step. So I'm just gonna be quiet, but if you need help, come off mute, let me know. Have fun, everybody. I've heard some really good stories from these. And I've had a lot of good experience myself doing phone banking and canvassing. And thank you again for coming today. We really appreciate it.
Hello. Yes, I'm sorry. Oh my gosh, I don't think I don't have my sound up. How are you doing? Um, can you hear me?
Sorry, maybe
I
I
don't have my
myself. I was saying I can hear you just fine, but was on mute, so that didn't help you any. Welcome, Wandu. And yeah, I'm here. I can hear you good.
Yes, ma'am. Hi. I've done the EVP before, with EVP on the phone bank, and I thought I thought the time was going to be at 12 o'clock.
Oh yeah, no, they have different ones, different times. So this one starts a little bit earlier.
Oh wow.
But you
My
haven't
goodness.
really, you've done it before, so all you've missed is the training and the guest speaker we had, and the guest speaker's video will be posted soon on the Elders Climate Action YouTube channel.
Okay. So, what do I do? I mean, I'm new to ECA. I mean, I had just kind of joined you all,
That's
but
awesome.
I do know how to call, I'm already familiar with calling.
I'm so glad to have you
If
here.
you,
Can you see that?
thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Can you see the link? Okay, did you come in time to be able to see where it says Hub Dialer
Uh,
campaign for everyone in the chat? In Hub Dialer info. Sorry, you might have missed the part where I said I have some weird stuff going on that doesn't let me use my left hand at the moment. So it's affecting my brain too, apparently. Are you able to see that okay with the link?
well, you said it's in the chat.
Yeah.
Uh,
Let's see. So
oh, I
yeah,
don't see it in the chat. In my chat, I don't see it in my chat.
yeah, I was hearing it sometime. Yeah, let me just paste it again. And then you can
Okay.
help you see it.
I'm gonna get my
I can also send it directly to you through the chat, but let's see if that comes up for you.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna go into the chat. Oh, I see. Okay. It's a dollar. It's 385. Oh, it sounds like it's Pennsylvania.
Yeah, so we'll be calling into Pennsylvania today.
385. Yeah, I did them the other night with Citizens Climate Lobby. I'm with Citizens Climate Lobby out of Atlanta chapter, and
Mhm.
I called with EVP. You know, we did a volunteer. We do with them on Wednesday nights.
Wonderful.
Yes. Okay. Are you like a officer with ECA?
Yeah, I'm a project manager. So it's kind of a short-term gig at this point. I was brought on to run this program, trying to
Oh, okay.
ditch my day job and do this full time like I used to. But I have a son at Howard and a daughter at Oregon State University, and the tuition money is a great thing from the day job.
Oh, great. That's wonderful. I'm so glad to meet you. So I guess I would go on at 38590. That's the code, and
Exactly. If you
it's
click that link,
135.
exactly. If you
Yes.
click that
Okay.
link,
I love your virtual background.
yeah, the one thing
I
you missed earlier is I took that when I got the one chance since my daughter was a baby to go back with her to her birth country, the Marshall Islands. So that's a picture of where she's from.
Oh, from where?
So my daughter was born in a country called the Republic of the Marshall Islands, and my
Oh,
son was
yes.
born outside of Chicago. And they're both joined my family through adoption. My son is African American. My daughter is Asian Pacific Islander.
Oh, wow. That's a beautiful background. I mean, that's just beautiful.
I brought it on specially for today. I've not used it before.
Yes. I try to do the virtual backgrounds when I'm on Zoom, and for some reason I'm not able to get it to stick with me when I get on a Zoom. And I've been trying to do it, so I don't know what's going on with my end. I guess I'm just not something I'm not doing correct.
Normally I have to rush off to my day job, but the silver lining to being sick was that I'm not working today. So if you want after 9:15, I'm sorry, 12:15 in Atlanta time, I'd be happy to try to see if we could troubleshoot that for you.
Okay, it's no big deal though. I just, but thank you so much. I guess I can come on and call some Pennsylvania voters.
That'd be perfect.
Thank you. Have a good
I'll be
one.
right here. Yeah, so either you can rejoin or just meet me and ask anything if you get any questions. I'll
Thank
try
you. Have a good one.
I'll try to
I
remember something.
I do have a question. So I see my first person that I'm supposed to be calling, but how do I know when it's dialing?
So did you see that flower?
The flower?
There was here, let me bring it back up. So there's going to be a screen that comes up as it's dialing, and then you will hear the music stop. There's like a flower and music. There's kind of two ways for us to know when the call has been picked up by a voter. Here
So the name of the person is an actual person I'm calling,
it
like
is.
script. So it says I'm calling Tyrus.
Right. So when that comes up, it usually means you were connected right at that moment with them, if I recall correctly.
How do I hear them? Because I didn't hear them.
So sometimes that'll happen. Let's go to see what we should do in this case. So what I would do is, that's a good question. I think I would,
It
uh,
says review the script below,
I
click
would do not home
recorded.
and then hit next call, hit not home, and then wait for a second. When you're ready to go to the next call, hit next call, and your cue should be the flower should disappear, the script should appear, and you should hear no more music. And that's where you jump in and say, "Hi, I'm Pam Vergun," or not you, but
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna try it and then I'll come back.
Perfect.
I'll hit the let's go.
Oh,
Okay.
so maybe you're not all the way logged in yet.
I'm logged in, but it said read the script and then hit let's go. And I see at the bottom. So now I should click the let's go.
I apologize. Yeah, so you're the good. Apparently the name comes up earlier than I remembered.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, let's go. You should be good.
Okay, great. I thought it was like a sample. So I wasn't sure. Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm calling this person Tyrus now.
Perfect. Let me
Okay, awesome.
remind you about this when you come back. Do come back if you don't mind by about 9:10, even just for a minute, and let me know
Okay,
how that played out.
sure.
Thank you so much. How's it going, Linda? I see you're not on mute, so I'm guessing you haven't done calls yet, but if I'm wrong, just keep going.